In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn the work that you did in the last one, which was setting up all the layers. We're going to turn those into an animated GIF. Now, if you're just coming to this video, maybe you've already seen it and you just want a breakdown of how you make an animated GIF, here they are right here. So pause it, look at it. Um, let's go ahead and do this in detail. So here we are. All we have is our 8 layers perfectly aligned, and as I said, when I just scrub it like that, it already looks like the birds flying over here in the layers panel. You may have noticed that all the while I was making the last video that this timeline was showing up here. That wasn't necessary, obviously, for you to have that, and that's just a matter of toggling that on and off here under Windows. So your first step then will most likely be to go up to Window and select Timeline. Now, when you do that, it'll either come out looking like this, create frame animation, or the drop down may say create video timeline. Now, this is the weird part of the step, is you select create frame animation and you'd think that would be enough, but no, you actually have to now click on it. And what that does is it takes whatever layer was visible, which happened to be layer number 1, and it makes a frame for it. So that's actually what we wanted. But if another one of your frames was showing, like let's say I had 3 showing, it's no big deal because whenever this timeline frame is selected, we can adjust it. So it's very friendly in that way. Then to make another frame, all we do is come over here, click this familiar looking, which normally means like make something new. In this case, it actually duplicates the selected frame, which would be that last frame, and then you now have a copy of that with the same exact contents, but now it's the one that is selected, and you can tell what's selected by the, by the grayish color around it. So we want to make sure that 2 is indeed selected, and then we can go over here, turn on frame 2. Then we go back to this button to duplicate the last one. Now 2 and 3 are the same. 3 is the one that's highlighted, if that's correct. And we turn on layer 3. Now there are quicker ways of doing this, but I think that it helps to see at least what's going on by doing this one time the slow way. I'll show you the faster way in a minute, but we're just going to continue on turning each layer on, duplicating until we have all 8 layers in there. Now just for your future reference, here's a real quick way to do that when you have the layers set up. And then in the future, you would use this method only if you're actually manipulating things, moving them around. Like for example, you could bring out a ball, for example, and then on just one layer, and then just keep moving it and creating new layers. There's even tween features in here, but that's way more than what we need for this. But anyway, if you make a mistake or something like that, you can always use that little drop down right here, and I just deleted the animation. Then I can go back up here and I can say make frames from layers, and then boom, there's all 8 layers. Now if I click on this little playhead here, it cycles through one time. Notice these are all set on 0 seconds. They're really not, obviously, or we wouldn't be able to see it. But we can change that for 1, or for like if we wanted to pause in the middle, you know, we could change this one to 2 seconds. That'd be kind of silly, but just to give you an idea what can be done here. Right, it gets there and it pauses and then it continues. So normally you have these all set the same or pretty darn close to it, but I can select all of them, just drop down 1 and pick an amount of time, and I think actually 0.1 second is the delay because that looks the same as when it said 0. And you can also make this loop. So you notice right here it says once. I can take this little drop down here and I can select 3 times or forever or other and manually enter in a time. But if I select forever, then it means when I click play, it keeps going. And now if there's anything about this movement that bothers you, or if you want it to look a little more natural, like maybe the head, like the whole body comes up when the thrust of the wings go down, you could make that happen as well. So let me just give you an example what we could do here. So if we want to make them bounce around a little bit more, what we would do is we would take all the frames where his wings are pushing down, and that could lift his body up a little bit, and when his wings are coming up, that could push his body down. So let's go ahead and do just such a thing here. So this is kind of like the neutral position right about, I guess right there. He's fully invested in his wing span here, and not much there, but here they go up. So this would be a good place for his body to kick down just a bit. So that's layer 8, frame 8 as well. So we want to select frame 8, then click on him with the move tool, and then so I said that would kind of push his body down. So I'm just going to go 3 clicks down. Then the next frame over here, frame 1, we're going from that to all the way up. So we probably want to go over there, maybe do like 4 clicks. So again, select that frame or that layer, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, actually went the wrong direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And then now he's starting to push, so you would think that his body might get some upward lift here. So make sure we click on the right layer, and then upward 1, 2. Go to this one, and then maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so let's just see what that looks like. So not bad. You can imagine him kind of strutting through the air like that. If you don't like that, you don't have to do it. But if you notice that previous one that I had, let's see if it's still up here. Um, that's the sprite. This is the GIF. When this guy walks, you notice that there's a lot of bounce in it. Very interesting, more so than just a very stiff animation. So those are things you want to keep in mind. Okay, so we're nowhere near finished, right? We just have our reference, and we're still working in a PSD file, which as you go along, save that file. You'll keep that because you can always go back to this and generate GIFs and change the positioning of the bird in different frames and generate another GIF. So let's just generate a test GIF just to make sure that this is what we want to use as a reference. So to do that, you go File, you go Save for Web, and it's going to bring up the options here. So first of all, you just want to make sure that GIF is selected. You may have JPEG or PNG selected, so make sure GIF is selected. I believe these defaults, I've never really monkeyed with these, so they should be fine. We'll keep transparency selected, even though with the white background, that's not really affecting us too much right now. Now, if you're really trying to save web space, you can play around with the colors, and you can go down to lower amounts of colors, but as you notice, that's a little bit too far, but it does take away from your work. So if speed and space is not an issue and there are a lot of colors, stick with the highest amount you can. Make sure convert to sRGB, since that's the profile for the web, is checked, and then we're pretty good. You do have the looping options again here. We'll keep that at forever, and then we'll click save, and then yeah, that's good, name and everything. Click save, and then what we'll do is we'll open that in a browser. So we'll go out to Chrome here, File, Open. navigate to where that file is and open it. And so there it is. So now what we're going to do is go back into Photoshop and we're going to essentially recreate this thing. So we'll go one layer at a time. And now may not be a bad time, just since we're going to be doing a lot of manipulations to this, is to go up here. Notice we're still on the PSD file. Do a file, save as, and we'll just make a backup copy of this. So I'll just put underscore and then tracing or something like that, so I know that this is the new version where I'm starting to mess around with it, because in fact we can go ahead and go up to window, turn the timeline off, give us a little more space, and then we're basically going to go to layer 1, turn everything else, let's see, layer 1 on, there was one of them right there, that one was on. Okay, so we just have layer 1 on. And then what we're going to do is create a new layer above that, just by having layer 1 selected and then clicking. And now on this layer 1 with it selected, we're going to come up with our own drawing. So like I said before, I'm not going to make this really refined. In fact, to keep my life simple, what I'm going to do is just click on this foreground color and select a green color here. So I have a dark green. I'm going to copy this number right here. Then I'm going to click OK. So I just highlighted that, did Command C, click OK. Now I'm going to click on the this other color, which I guess is the background color. So you have a background, you have a foreground color. I'm going to punch in that other number so I have everything the same, but I'm just going to pick a brighter version of that color. So now I have my background and foreground colors loaded with these two colors. I will then take the brush, select the brush, and all you really need to know about the brush to get you going here is that if you take this drop down, not actually that one, this one right here, you can control the size of the brush and the hardness. And I'd probably leave the hardness at about 50%. And then also, and let's just hit escape to get out of that. On the fly, you can adjust the brush size by using the bracket keys. So the right bracket makes the brush size bigger, the left bracket makes it smaller. So I'm going to use that dark color and I'm going to make this wing. Okay, actually I'm going to backtrack here. I want to do the foreground first, and then I'm going to make a separate layer for the background of the bird. So I've got a little bit of mess here with layers. Let me just fix this up. Okay, so back to a fresh start here. I just have layer 1 selected. I made a new layer. I named that layer 1 front. Now I'm going to just paint all the front stuff for the bird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip-flop these colors so that the light green is on top. And now I'm going to take this brush, use my right bracket key to adjust the size a little bit, and I'm just going to create this wing. And then what I'll do is after I've done this wing, I will make another layer, as I'll show you in a minute. And I need to probably make that brush size a little smaller there. And again, this I'm doing this on a what do you call it, a notebook, so with my finger, so I'm not going to be very accurate here. That's good enough to get us started, just to see how this is going to turn out. And then I'll flip-flop my foreground background color, make this quite a bit smaller just to give a little eye there. And that's enough detail for right now for that front part. So now I'm going to click on layer 1. I'm going to add a new layer, and notice that it is underneath front, so I can rename this 1BG for back, then